section 642, which is called Pulling It All Together. We're going to answer the question, what can I do now? Gentlemen, thank you. So question 122 says, Brianna has been collecting insects and measuring the lengths of their legs and antenna. Below is the data she has collected so far. So she measured an ant, and the length of its antenna was 2 millimeters, and the length of a leg was 4 millimeters. Then she got a beetle, and the length of the antenna was 6 millimeters, and the length of the leg was 10 millimeters. Then she got a grasshopper, and the length of the antenna, guys, the length of the antenna was 20 millimeters, and the length of the leg was 31 millimeters. So here's what they want us to do. Part A, they want us to graph the data that Brianna has collected. Okay? So we've got an X and a Y axis. And on the X axis, we're going to let the X axis be what? Blue. She just measured two things. So how about we'll let the length, or the X axis, be the length of the antenna. So down here on the X axis, write antenna. And up the side, we're going to let it be the length of the leg. Okay? So first, let's do the ant. The ant had a 2 millimeter antenna. So you go over just 1, 2 of those little lines, and they're very faint because for some reason they don't come out in duplicating. And then the length of the leg, you go up just below the 5, which is where 4 is at, and you put a point. Okay? Then we're going to do the beetle. The beetle was at 6 millimeters and 10 millimeters. So you go over 6, go up 10, put a point. And then for the grasshopper, it was 20 and 31. So you go all the way over to 20, all the way up to 31, and put a point. All right, part B, Brianna thinks that she has found an equation relating antenna length and leg length. 4y minus 6x equals 4. Could Brianna's equation be correct? If not, write your own equation relating the antenna length and leg length. Well, Brianna is correct. We like her equation. So it's good. Okay, part C, if a ladybug has an antenna that is 1 millimeter long, how long does Brianna's equation predict its legs will be? Use both the equation and the graph to justify your answer. So if you were to put in a 1, about right here, you could see that it would be about right here, right? So at about 2.5 millimeters, okay? Or you could take the 1, plug it in for X, and see what you get for Y. Okay? Question 23. One evening, Gemma saw 3 different phone company ads. Teletalk boasted a flat rate of 8 cents per minute. Americall charges 30 cents for voice calls and 5 cents per minute. And Cell Time charges 60 cents per voice calls plus 3 cents per minute. You are not sure how many minutes Gemma plans on using the phone for voice calls. Write a paragraph to Gemma explaining which plan she should use under the various circumstances. Okay? Include multiple representations in your answer. So the first thing I did was I made a chart for Teletalk. Teletalk was the first one. And Teletalk charges 8 cents per minute. So I just called it Y equals 8x. So for every minute, you're just going to multiply by 8. Okay, so if you have 0 minutes, 8 times 0 is 0. If you have 1 minute, 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 times 8 is 32. You just multiply by 8 all the way down. Okay? Then I looked at Americall. Americall was 30 cents per voice call plus 5 cents per minute. Okay? So you're going to multiply by 5, but then you're going to add 30 every time. So for 0 minutes, 0 times 5 is 0, but you have to add in the 30. For 1 minute, you're going to multiply 5 times 1, which is 5, add the 30, you get to 35. And then you're going to notice a pattern right here. What's it going by? Going up by 5s. So starting with 30, going up by 5s every time. And the third phone company she looked at was called Cell Time. They charge 60 cents for voice calling, plus 3 cents per minute. So first you multiply times 3, then you add the 60. So for 0 minutes, it's the most expensive. Bless you. She never uses it. That's the most expensive one. But eventually, look down at the bottom, at 16 minutes, she's only paying 108 versus 110 or 128. So you're supposed to tell Gemma what her options are. So I told Gemma that Gemma should use TellTalk for calls that are under 10 minutes. For calls that are under 10 minutes, TellTalk, the first one, is the cheapest. It's 80 cents, 80 cents, 90 cents. Okay? But what happens when you get over 10 minutes? So between 10 and 15 minutes, Gemma should use AmeriCall for calls that are between 10 and 15 minutes. And then Cell Time she should use for anything over 15 minutes. So it just depends how much Gemma plans on using her cell phone, right? That would determine which plan would be best for her. I'm going to move this up. You'll see it in just a second. Because I know a lot of you are still writing. Is that far enough? Let me try and shrink it just a tad. Perfect. There we go. All right. Question 124 says, without graphing, determine which of the following equations represent lines that are parallel to each other, which represent perpendicular lines, and then show how you know. And so they give you these 4 equations. For A, they give you negative 3x plus y equals 5. For B, they give you x plus 5y equals negative 15. For C, they give you negative 5x plus y equals 3. And for D, they give you negative 15x plus 5y equals negative 25. The form they are given to you, can you tell what the slope is? Can anybody tell me the slope of A? No, because it's not in slope-intercept form, okay? So the first thing you need to do with these 4 equations is put them into slope-intercept form. So for part A, you're going to add 3x to both sides, and you're going to get y equals 3x plus 5. Now who can tell me the slope? What's the slope of that line? Justin? 3. Just the number in front of the x. So just the 3. The slope is 3. If you want to write it as a fraction, you say 3 over 1. Okay? For part B, you're going to subtract x from both sides. Then you're going to divide everything by 5 to get the y by itself, and you're going to get a slope of negative 1/5 and a y-intercept of negative 3. Okay? For part C, you're going to add 5x to both sides, and you'll get y equals 5x plus 3. And then for D, you add 15x to both sides, you divide everything by 5, and you get y equals 3x minus 5. Anybody notice anything about any of these lines? Do any of them have anything in common? They're all in y equals? Yes, they're all in slope-intercept form. So you should be able to figure out what their slopes are. Anybody notice anything about the slopes? 5? 5? Okay, you see a 5 right here. Do you see another 5? Oh, but in different spots, yes. They have a 5 here, a 5 in the denominator. A 5 is the y-intercept, and a negative 5 is the y-intercept. What about just comparing the slopes? So we've got a slope of 5 for this one, and then we've got a negative 1/5 for this one. Does anybody know what kind of relationship that is? A 5 and a negative 1/5? Somebody's saying it, reciprocal. Say the word reciprocal. Reciprocal, okay? And this one's negative and this one's positive. So when you have a slope that's negative reciprocal, what kind of lines does it make? Well, our choices are parallel or perpendicular. Which of those two do you think it is? Perpendicular. So B and C are perpendicular. So over here, right, B and C are perpendicular. Then our other two lines are y equals 3x plus 5 and y equals 3x minus 5. This one has a slope of 3 and this one has a slope of 3. What does it mean when you have same slope? What? What? Parallel, yes. So you're going to say A and D are parallel. All right, question 125. Mary Sue is very famous for her delicious brownies, which she sells at football games. The graph at right models the relationship between the number of brownies she sells and the amount of money she earns. How much should she charge for 10 brownies? Be sure to demonstrate your reasoning. So over here is our little graph, and along the bottom is the number of brownies sold. So I went where 10 would be. 10 would be halfway between the 8 and the 12, right? So then I went straight up to that line, and I tried to figure out, where is that going to be? Between what and what? What number and what number of how much she should sell them for? Between 10 and 20? Closer to 10 or closer to 20? Closer to 20. So I said 18. But if you said 17, would you probably still be right? Okay, so just, you're going to guess where it's at right there. Okay. Is this a proportional relationship? Why or why not? I said yes, it is proportional, because if she doubles brownies sold, she's going to double her sales. Okay. It's going up at a constant rate. So it is proportional. It's going to adjust. The more she sells, the more money she's going to make. Okay. Part C. During the last football game, Mary Sue earned $34.20. How many brownies did she sell? Write an equation and show your work to solve it. Okay. So if she sold 10 brownies for $18, I put an X for how many brownies she should sell for $34.20. This is called a proportion. Okay? To solve a proportion, you do something called the cross product. So I went diagonally this way. 18 times X is 18X. And 10 times $34.20, you multiply this by 10, you're just going to take that decimal and move it which direction? Not left, right. Move it one spot to the right, so it becomes 342. If you do it on your calculator, you're going to get the same thing. Then you're going to divide both sides by 18, and it just so happens that 18 goes in there 19 times. So that means that she is going to sell 19 brownies. All right? So what is the rate of change in this situation? It's roughly $1.80 for one brownie. $1.80 for every one brownie. Okay, question 126 says a cruise ship left the Bahamas 3 hours before a private yacht. The vessels traveled in the same direction. The cruise ship traveled 25 miles per hour. The private yacht traveled at 40 miles per hour.